All right. Well, in that case, I think we can go ahead and begin. So, for those of you tuning in, welcome. We are the Players Council, self-organized to help steer the direction of the Lord of the Rings trading card game. So, with that, let's go ahead and start with some introductions. So, like I mentioned, my name is Christian McCarty, Teltura or Ketura on various other forums. I am a developer. You may have seen some of my posts about the card templates and the card generator that I have been working on recently. We I've played the game since I was in high school. Kind of dropped away for a bit and then came back when it was in the digital era. Worked heavily on the wiki that is there on the Last Homely House forums, and yeah, I mostly get involved on the technical side, but that's where my strengths lie. So that's what I focus on. So, Sharon, you want to take it off?
Hi, everybody. You probably know me from the Facebook group. I'm a moderator on Facebook, and um, on Discord, my name is Double Hooks, and on Gemp, it's Turvlon. Sorry, I have a lot of usernames from years and years of playing this game. Um, I've been playing since 2001 with with two of my younger brothers who are also in the group, and I can't tell you how exciting it is to see this come about. And I've been really impressed by the level of engagement we've had on the Facebook group. You guys are awesome, and I've noticed that a lot of what we do on the Facebook group is really focused on collecting the game, which is great. We want to continue to support that as much as we can, but we also want to return this to an actual game that people are playing, whether it be on their kitchen table or more online. And so we're just we want to do anything we can to help that happen. So thank you for all the participation that you've already been being in the various forums, whether it's the Last Homely House, which I think is like our spiritual home, or on Facebook, GEMP, etc. So please keep inviting people to these groups and teaching the game. And yeah, we're here for you. Whatever you in mind, just throw us a line and we'll be happy to take a look and discuss it. So yeah, that's all for me. Mark.
You there, Menace?
Yep, sorry. Hey, my name's Menace64. Also go by Mark Barlow in some real life situations. I am unpublished writer and quarantined actor. I've been playing Lord of the Rings since it came out. I've been a Decipher fanboy since, well, last millennium sometime. I'm a huge proponent of Decipher and how they made games, even if things kind of went off the rail towards the end. That's why I'm here. I want to see Lord of the Rings brought into the middle of the 21st century with some style and some participation from the players themselves. And I love seeing where we are right now, and I look forward to where we're going.
Awesome. So, there's also a few members that are not here on the stream. We've got 9 people total on that have signed up for the Players Council. One of them is known as Champion of Solaris, COS or COS. You may see him there as a moderator on GEMP, and so he's involved. And then there are a few other people besides. If you want to join the Players Council, we have a sign-up form there in our Discord. At the moment, the sign-up form is all you need to do. The only bar you have to pass. So if you feel like you want to help contribute to the Players Council to help us steer this game, then please, we could use all sorts of talent and time that you may be willing to donate.
Yeah, Christian, I'd just add that as we go through our different areas of focus, you're going to see a lot of opportunities to help. And whatever your interest is, please let us know how you'd like to be involved.
Yeah. So as he mentions, there's there's a few different things that we as the Players Council want to focus on. Some time ago, we ran a survey on Facebook, and we got a whole bunch of input from various people asking what their opinions were on what a Players Committee, which we later rebranded as the Players Council, should do. And so we basically have four major things, four pillars that we're going to be focusing on here, which we have some goals set up for our timeline here. And those four things, which we're going to go over in detail here, but just really quickly, the first is running events and helping to build up the community. For it to be an actual game, we have to have games being played, and giving people an environment where there is something on the line that of a prize is something that we think could help revitalize the game somewhat. Second, we want to begin issuing errata and otherwise maintaining the meta of the game, which has been languishing for a very long time. The strategies that you play in GEMP are more or less the exact same strategies that you have played for the last decade, and so we want to help address some of that staleness of the meta. Third, we want to help revamp and upgrade the wiki. Kralik, the owner of the Last Homely House, is as we speak installing new software for the wiki, and we're going to help spearhead some efforts to make sure that all the content on the wiki is kept up to date and has everything that might possibly be used for both collectors and players of the game. And then last but not least, we want to add new cards to the game. We want virtual cards, we want virtual sets, we want to take up the design standard and push that forward. So yeah, those are kind of the four things that we are going to be focusing on here in the future. So we are going to go over each of these in a little bit of detail. So Double Hooks, if you want to take the events, and we'll go from there.
Perfect. One of the primary goals of surrounding this game is focusing on the fact that, hey, it's a game. We need to play it. And GEMP has done an amazing job at keeping the game playable for all of us. And we want to continue to support that and be involved in running events like on GEMP and in any other venue that we may see an opportunity moving forward. And so our first step is, hey, run a casual tournament. So that's what we're doing today. And remember, as you play those games, you're eligible for those raffle tickets. So let's get playing after this. And moving forward, we want to make that a more regular thing, right? We want to support tournaments in a variety of blocks, whatever the community is focused on. We want to help support that. We have lots of questions about how best to make this happen. So we're gonna publish a survey a little later on today that asks you, what formats are you playing? What blocks are you? Where are you playing? How would you like to see us track these things? Would you be interested in kind of a rating system in a league, standalone tournament? And so keep an eye out for that survey. We can really focus on what's most important to this community, because we want to grow what's working already. And really, I think the end goal of everything that we're doing here, whether it's events, whether it's errata, wiki, or virtual cards, all here to build up the player community. And that happens by playing the game. All of these things need to happen with an eye towards the player, because if the game isn't fun, if there's lagging interest there, then what is this all for, right? So we really feel like events are kind of a foundational piece of the players committee that we need to support. We're so excited to get that up and running and to really make it a fun experience for everyone. And yeah, if you guys have any questions about how we intend to do that, please feel free to ask in either Discord or on Facebook. And yeah, I'm excited here, guys. Let's get playing.
So up here on screen right now is the tournament event survey that was mentioned. You can come in here and you can indicate, what kind of formats is it that you want to play. We have questions about timing, like how frequently do we want to do this. There's a few different methods that we could take as far as how exactly we want to do this. Do we want to make it an all-day event? Do we want to make it more of a stretched out time period where we assign you to your opponent and you have 3 days to go, schedule a time with them and perform a game? Like, there's a bunch of different open questions like you mentioned, and so please fill out that survey. That will help us really deliver some events that will be tailored to what the community is expecting instead of just what we think is a good idea.
I think one of the challenges we can all recognize with Lord of the Rings, I mean, look at that format list, right? I mean, a lot of ways the game is very scattered. We want to support everybody's favorite thing, and we know that everyone loves all the different blocks in different ways, right, and all the different formats. By doing the survey, we can focus our efforts on what's going to be the most effective and what's going to affect most players. So please fill that out once we release it.
Yeah. So I'm posting it here in the Discord right now, and we will make sure that this is also on Facebook here shortly. So that's one of our pillars, those tournaments that we want to set up and have them running regularly, maybe monthly, maybe quarterly, it all depends. The next one that I mentioned is the Errata, which I'll take here. So Errata. It's something that people have been talking about for a long time. Decipher back in the day obviously was not perfect with their cards, and they themselves recognized this. They released erratas for various cards, correcting the power balance of certain overpowered or just straight up broken combos. And since Decipher has left the scene, there has been nobody to maintain the game, because there are however many hundreds of people playing the game over time. It is very easy for them to find weaknesses in the game that the designers were never able to anticipate. That's just kind of a fact of life, and so long as there's nobody there fighting against those broken combos, then inevitably you're going to end up like what we have in Open or Expanded, where playing those formats can be very very fun. But if you're really out to win, you can do it with an infinite loop, you can do it with broken tokens, you can do it with all kinds of stuff. And that is not particularly fun, to sit there and watch your opponent go through, 50 or 60 actions repeated, infinitely until they win. So one of the things that we want to emphasize here as we start moving in the direction of issuing official errata is that we don't want to take away anybody's fun with the game that they currently have. All of the formats that currently exist on GIMP, we want to leave alone. If you want to go back and play the game as it was when Decipher left, we don't want to take that away from anybody. What we want to do is we want to set up new formats, things like a PC movies format, for instance, that has the new rules applied to them, so that way you can have the best of both worlds. If you really want to go back and play the old Decipher version, you can. But if you want to start playing a version of the game that is hopefully more balanced and more maintained, you can do that too. So as far as the short term goes for errata, one of the things that we want to address first are the existing X and R list cards. These are cards that for all intents and purposes don't exist in most formats, because you're not allowed to play them, because they are considered broken. So we would like to return those cards to the game, and doing that by evaluating them, rebalancing them, reworking them if we have to, giving them new game text, and injecting them back into the card pool. The goal of this process is to make sure that most of the time there should be nothing in the X or R lists. Those should be used only as emergency, oh crap, we messed up, there's a tournament going on, we are issuing an emergency X list, please, remove these cards from your deck because there's a clear and obvious broken combo that you can use. But as soon as this tournament is over, we are going to start fixing it, and hopefully within the week get a new version out there. That is really the only purpose that the X and R list should be used in today's virtual world, where we're altering code and updating new versions of the cards instead of needing to physically reprint anything. So that's really the kind of the short-term goal for that, which we should hopefully be doing here in the next, I don't know, month or two, is what we kind of want to aim for those. After that, though, after we have evaluated all those existing cards and hopefully reintroduce them back out into the wild, we then want to start taking a look at more cards, because there are plenty of cards, of course, that many in the community view as broken, and we would like to take a look at all of those. So one of the things that I want to do is I want to set up a replay analysis tool that takes a look at all the games that have been played on GIMP, you know, or perhaps we have to get them submitted to us by people, or hopefully we can get access to GIMP's actual database and take a look at all the games that have been played and start analyzing them for win and loss rates. Find those cards that win 90% of the time when they're introduced in their deck, and start addressing those. But base it on data, not just I feel this is broken, but look, we can prove that if you include this card in your deck, you are probably going to win. Those are the cards that we definitely need to address. On the flip side, we also want to take a look at cards that, for all intents and purposes, don't exist because they're so underpowered that nobody uses them. If a card has a 10% win rate or a 0% inclusion rate, I'm really interested to see what kind of cards are never used on GIMP whatsoever, just because they're so bad that nobody wants to play them. That is another thing that we can use Errata for, is to try and bring those cards that are so bad you don't use them into the game as well. That's a quick and relatively easy way for us to bring more cards into the game without actually introducing more cards, if that makes sense. And then even further out, we want to set up a very transparent permanent card rebalancing process that goes through a few different phases of identifying whether or not a card is broken based on the data, and then going through that process of, okay, well, coming up with what should we do with the errata? What are some different ideas? What are some ways that we can change the numbers or rework the card? And then go through rounds of playtesting, releasing them to the community in perhaps a sandbox environment to let people actually test them besides ourselves. And then once we are fairly certain that we have fixed the issue, then releasing them into the wild with updates to the errata and official lists. And Menace will be going over this a little bit later, but part of the point of this is so that we can have a healthy meta again, so that you can go out and actually attempt to be as competitive as you can without worrying about cards being completely broken. Eventually, tying back into the tournaments that we want to be running, eventually the tournaments ran by the player council will be utilizing the errata lists and the official X and R lists of the PC, and so that will be an incentive. There will be actual prizes on the line and so on for people to get involved with these, and it will of course give us an incentive to make sure that they are as balanced as possible, because when people have skin in the game, then they're more willing to actually try and break the cards across their knee. So we will hopefully have some good incentives on both sides for us and for the community to make sure that those errata are as good as they possibly can be. All right, so on to pillar number 3. So we talked about the tournaments, we talked about errata. Now for the wiki. So as I mentioned, Kralik, the owner of the Last Homely House, is currently updating the software for the wiki. This uses a program called DokuWiki. Most people are more familiar with a piece of software called MediaWiki, which if you go onto Wikipedia here, is the same software that Wikipedia uses. It's got a layout that everybody's familiar with. It's got capabilities that everyone's very familiar with, and so this software is what is going to be on the Last Homely House's wiki here in the next week or two, whenever Kralik gets around to it. And so we really want to help spearhead the effort into making sure that the wiki is as fleshed out as it possibly could be. And so to just kind of show off some of the things that we'll be able to do here, here is one of the articles that I've helped work on for the wounds, describing wounds. If you scroll down here, you can see these gigantic tables that list every card that mention anywhere on their card text that they have something to do with wounds. We've got cards here that talk about preventing wounds, cards that do direct wounds, which can hopefully be a resource for people to look at. But there's just one problem. This is a gigantically manual list. If any cards are added or errated or anything in the future, somebody has to come in here and manually find the correct position in the table to insert it in, and they have to, actually add the row like it was a giant spreadsheet, which is tedious.
Shuddered. That sounds awful.
Yeah, it's any time that you have a barrier to entry there for people who are excited and want to contribute, like that's just drudgery. Like who wants to be doing these manual little maintenance tasks? And so over here, I've got the Artifact Wiki showing here for the Artifact card game by Valve, which is a wiki that I helped work on. And it is much more automated for many of these processes. So here is a big old table of all of the hero cards in the game, and this is an automated table. If I hop over here to the source, which may not make sense to most of the viewers, but just to kind of illustrate the size of the article here, this is that whole table. Those 10 or 15 lines that I have highlighted there. That produces all of this. And it's completely automatic. Anytime anybody adds a hero card, it will automatically show up in this table. Here, up here at the top, we can actually see somebody recently added a couple of heroes and didn't include their card images and so on, but they automatically showed up. Nobody had to come in and maintain this, and this is going to be huge if we have the same ability within the Lord of the Rings TCG wiki. You can see some of the features they've got here, like being able to hover over and see the card. This is something that we technically could have done in Doku Wiki, but it never really got off the ground. But because Media Wiki is the same back end here on the Artifact Wiki and will be on the Lord of the Rings TCG, we'll be able to lift most of that code and just sort of copy paste it over. So I'm excited about that. Another thing that I am excited about is the ability to have multiple tabs, or organize our cards a little bit better. So up here you can see that there are multiple different areas that we can put different information. Here they put different lore. They have different sound responses for the card that they've decided to put there. But I'd like to go in and be able to have, say, different foreign language versions of the card, or here's the Tangwar version of the card, or here's all the information you might possibly want about the card in one place, which at the moment just isn't really there. The most that you might possibly have is when you come over here and you take a look at Gimli, you can see that here's a link to all the other versions of Gimli, but like it's kind of manual, like oh, here's a completely separate version of a Tangwar, but you just have to kind of look through the thumbnails and try to figure out whether or not it's an alternate version, and it's just kind of it requires a lot of manual work on the part of the person who's using it, and so we just want to try and alleviate that wherever we can. So this is this is an area that we could definitely use help on that doesn't necessarily require a whole lot of involvement. Like we will be setting up some paradigms and setting up some processes for organizing everything, but then after that it's really just a matter of coming in and editing these articles. So if you feel like you could aid in the wiki effort, we could definitely use you there. And yeah, so that's 3 of our 4 pillars. So I'll hand it over to you, Menace, to talk about the 4th.
Which one would that be? Oh, right. Virtual cards and the hankering for new material in this beloved game of ours. As you pointed out before, the meta's stale / does not exist anymore. The game's been figured out, and strategies have kind of stuck their course. The purpose of introducing virtual sets would be, at its core, to, in some respects, disrupt the staleness of the environment, to give new cards, new ideas, new possibilities into what we all think is an amazing game. With that being said, we have a number of possibilities for how to move forward on this one. For the last few months, we've been working on smaller sets. We're looking at 50 cards or less, getting subcultures and cultures that just need support. We've also looked into how to do a massive set, like a base set, 365 cards, or an expansion set of 100 cards or so. Spent the last 3 weeks just putting together what a 365 virtual set might look like, just to see if it was possible. And on the other side of that experiment, I say we have a lot of room to play. There's lots of opportunities out there. We can do a lot of good things still. We have the new NAND deck system of card generation, which is going to help everybody. Everyone can have some skin in this game. And from there, we can make some awesome stuff happen. I think it is not outside the realm of possibility to have Cypher level cards in our environment that are all virtual and ready to play. It's possible.
Cool.
I don't know if I missed anything.
So up here, I have on screen right now just a handful of some of the cards that we've been toying around with, just to show off some of the different sorts of things that can be done with these feature sets that we're thinking of.
So, handoff up here in the top left corner, that's an experiment. I found some Ralph Bakshi stills and just started doing some alternate image reprints. This is a pretty good example of just other ways of engaging card art and distribution of cards and promos and what have you. Boromir here is an experiment in introducing newer mechanics into older formats. And of course, older formats means older formats with the virtual card overlay. So Boromir the Bold wouldn't show up in a Decipher era Fellowship of the Ring block game. If you played a virtual Fellowship of the Ring block game, you might end up having an enduring Boromir. And who doesn't want that? That sounds amazing. Likewise, we've got Saruman, which we designed around a series or a cycle of cards based around making Isengard weather cards matter again, giving them a little bit of a kick in the pants to introduce a subculture that, while kind of viable for a while, never really took off the way it should have. So that's an option there. In a similar vein, Dark Waters, which the name might sound familiar to some of you old Decipher fans. It's based around giving Watcher in the Water a little bit of a resurgence, like Boromir introducing newer mechanics into an older format. In this case, giving Lurker. We've also got artifact abilities for cultures that have never seen artifacts. One of the Pirate King, hold on, the dogs are about to bark. Let's see if they do. Looks like we're okay. Okay, Throne of the Pirate King is a Raider artifact, which would be the first of its kind. Just, I don't know, I'm head over heels in love with the idea of getting Raiders some artifacts because they deserve it. Errata Kamul, that is to represent the contests that we've been running on the forums at the Last Homely House. This is a user-generated card that went through, not a playtest cycle, but it went through submissions and votes and came out the winner of its round. And it's a lovely card, and it's representative of other ways players can be involved in shaping what the game becomes, because I don't see any reason necessarily to prevent contests from allowing people to add cards in. That could be an interesting way of doing things. King in Twilight is Double Hooks' or Jaren's baby, and it represents a whole new paradigm of what we can do with characters. In this case, what would normally be a unique character presented as a non-unique character. And you'll recognize this form from the Black Rider card, which I think everybody loves. King in Twilight would be a Twilight version of that card, and go along with King in Twilight, I've been working on, well, we've all been working on a number of different characters that can embody creature or a card type in a non-unique way to help splash a card or a mechanic into the game. I think it's really quite cool. And, you know, personally, I think Sauron Wargs has been on my mind for years, and we've done a lot of back and forth on the forums on how to bring them into the game, because I think everyone would love to see that. And it's looking at a card like Holland Snarler is a long time dream come true for me. have warg minions. How many years has that been a thing we've wanted to have out there? Now it's here. We can do that. Merry Conspirators, just probably my favorite card of the last year. That's another contest card. It was written by one of our forum participants, and it shows we can bring in material from the books that haven't been present in the films in a way that is engaging and novel. Pun intended there, I guess. I don't know. I'm kind of head over heels in love with everything that we're doing right now, and these are just a few examples of some of the paths we might take as we move forward. I've got hundreds more in the back catalog already. We've got lots of space to play in.
All right, thank you very much. So, as mentioned, yeah, if you've spent any time here on the Discord before, you'll see these posts by Menace. You know, he's always working on them, and we've always got room for feedback. None of these are balanced necessarily, or I should say they haven't gone through a balancing process, which is something that we're going to be setting up here in the future once we have, you know, playtesting and things like that figured out. So don't necessarily judge them based on their numbers, or, you know, whether or not they would be totally overpowered or not. But it is, you know, just something that we could use additional help on. You know, if you just want to hop on and give your opinion on whether or not something would be broken, or a combo that is immediately obvious to you that maybe didn't occur to us while we were designing it. Like, we'd love to have that sort of feedback. If you want to hang out on the Discord in the coming days and weeks and help us with that, we'd be more than happy to have that sort of feedback. So at this point, we would like to leave a little bit of time for a Q&A before we start the now delayed GEMP tutorial stream. So if you have any questions that you'd like to pose to the Players Council while we're here on the air, you can throw it in any of the channels on Discord, or if you're watching on Facebook, let us know there, and we will. If you have any questions, let us know. We'll see if we
Christian,
can answer those.
on Facebook, Gustav has a couple questions for us. First, he's asking if we are planning on doing some replay commentary or live game commentary during the event, and I think that could apply to in the future as well.
Oh, certainly, yeah. So it is my plan later on in the day, once I've got the tutorial streams done, I would like to spend some time actually spectating and commenting on people's games. So we will have at least a couple of those. We don't have any scheduled necessarily, but just keep an eye on Facebook and here on Discord. We'll make sure that those are posted and available when those happen. And in the future, that is definitely something that I would like to do for tournaments and such. Especially with the digital realm that we're in, where we've got the replays. It's easier to schedule around when you can have a commentator that just takes the replay link and watches it afterwards, pausing it as he goes to explain what is happening, or make predictions, or so on, or whatever. So yes, resounding yes in both instances there.
I think those are great ideas.
I would love to start spectating some games and giving some commentary. I mean, I've already been doing that on my own for years at this point, so it'd be fun to link up with people and be able to show people how some of these games go, and to laugh at the misfortune of Frodo. Always laugh.
Yeah, and I think this actually highlights one of the great things that we have available to us today is technology. Like, it is very easy to stream. It's very easy to cast, any kind of screen or whatever it is you're watching and commentate on it. And I mean, taking advantage of that is a great thing that we can do to engage the community. And speaking of that technology, I just want to put in a great word for what Christian has done with things like Nandeck and leveraging GEMP and the Wiki and all these different things. I mean, we have so much at our disposal. It makes it possible for the Players Council to really, make good decisions based on data and observation, and also make professional-looking cards. I mean, Snandeck tool that's on the screen now is just so amazing, and it makes it very easy to make professional-looking cipher quality cards. They're indistinguishable, and a lot of this stuff just wasn't available, in previous years. And I think it gives us some great opportunities. Gustav Olsen also asks on Facebook about a specific strategy. He's like, make Uruk Mill relevant again, and I think that's a great overall question of what we aim to do with our virtual sets. Right, there are a lot of forgotten strategies. Like there's threads that Decipher drop throughout all of the different sets. With different themes, and Uruk Mill, I guess, is a good example of that. All of these things are possible to reinvent or reinvigorate with the virtual card set.
Yeah, and
Do you have any thoughts on that?
I've never even heard the term Uruk Mill, but I understand what it's referring to. There is a cycle of, Uruk Soldier, is that what it is? Set
The Uruk
one.
Soldier and the swords, the discard cards, yeah.
Right. It's been so long since I thought about that as a viable strategy all on its own that there's definitely room to slide in some new cards there. But you're exactly right, that specificity of that subculture is emblematic of everything we want to do. Every single subculture and sub-mechanic that's kind of, needs to be pulled up a little bit. It's all available for us. We can do all of those things.
And we've already talked about a lot of those opportunities. Everything from Isengard orcs and Isengard men, to Morgul orcs and things like that. Yeah.
all right. Well, if no other questions are forthcoming, we can probably end the stream here.